I want to start this off by saying happy birthday to Ahmaud Arbery. You're a man who should be here today, All American athlete, kind, loving person as described by your family, not going by these false media reports and these narratives working to put the victim on trial. And one of the things that when I'm teaching my courses at American University, one of the questions I always ask when we get to the subject, one of my courses is called Intercultural Communication, and we have we talk about different things from perceptions of Muslims in the media to issues going on in the gay community, things going on in the community, people with physical challenges, or as others would say, disabilities. We look at a wide range of things, and one of our sections deals with this thing as it relates to the conversation, relating to Black Lives Matter and unarmed killings of people, primarily of Black people, primarily by law enforcement, but in situations like this, as was the case with George Zimmerman, also by people who decide to play vigilante. And let's just also note that before you put any comments in about there was a string of robberies that were reported, that's actually not true. There were 3 robberies that were reported between December and the time the shooting took place, and they were earlier in that time, not closer to this. Shootings, I should say, took place of him. See, that's something we got to be mindful of. And this whole thing about citizens arrest, if people refuse to be arrested legally, you're supposed to let them go. You're not supposed to use deadly force. So let's just put some of that nonsense to side as we talk about why he should be here. But one of the things that I ask in my class is, my class is majority non-black students, and I asked them, when we watch some of these videos, because I don't even watch these videos until it's time for this class. So quite honestly, I've not watched the Arbery video, because the video of him being killed, because quite frankly, watching these videos is stressful enough. But then when you're dealing with living under a quarantine style situation and not being able to get out and live your life, I don't think that any of us should be watching these videos, because quite frankly, it doesn't take a video for us to be motivated, upset, and inspired and to get out there and be upstanders. Quite honestly, it just adds to a lot more of our stress. And so I don't watch the videos until that class. But one of the things, and this is why I don't ask it, I don't watch it, because when I watch these videos, depending on who the person is, age, whatever, I see either myself or people that I know, members of my family, sometimes even possibly, my own children, because a lot of these situations are happening with children as well, and I don't need that in my mind right now to be frustrated and want to get out there and do and work even harder. But the question I ask my students is the same question I'm going to ask you right now. When you watch these videos, do you see yourself or your family members or people who are not black in those same situations? And the overwhelming majority from my students is no, they do not. And that is where the problem lies. This thing we call common humanity. We don't have it. And many of us don't have it as it relates to Black people. There's still this mentality of, well, he must have done something. Well, if he wasn't running, if this or if that. Questions that are never asked of people who are not Black. And so when we get into these conversations, there's always a reason to justify Black death, because we don't see ourselves, people don't see themselves in our predicament. When I see somebody get killed who's Jewish, and it's an anti-Semitic attack, I can see myself and people I know in that situation. When I see somebody get attacked and beaten or bullied because they're gay, I see myself in that situation. And I'm not gay, it's because they're human beings. And Dr. Maya Angelou said that we're human, nothing should be foreign to us. And so one of the things I want to ask you today is, if you actually express any outrage, after that, I want you to start seeing your own children, your own mother, your own father, your own brothers and sisters in these situations, and really take a deep, reflective stance as to how you're going to maybe start to process this a little differently. Because for us, this is every day. And some of us don't even click on the stories anymore because we're tired. and it hurts in our soul. A study came out a while ago that talked about how, not a while ago, I mean like 2019, that talked about how, racism itself should be considered a disease because of the way it shortens our lives, and how concerns about issues like what happened with, Mr. Ahmaud Arbery, those types of things, the stress that it causes for us really can do things like, shorten our lives. When you add that to all the other structural racism problems, but do you think about those things? And when I say you know who I'm talking about. And if you know I'm talking to you, then these are questions that you need to answer. Because what we don't need right now is we don't need allies. I don't believe in allies. I believe that the term allies has become a very arrogant term. And it's a term that people have used to kind of get out there and act like they're kind of better than people and they're just kind of lending a hand. No, allies, no. Allies, you can go to a sports game, cheer your team, and go home. That's kind of what allies do. We need people to just see common humanity, get out there and do the work because it's the right work to do. Amplify the cause in any way that you can because people are dying needlessly. It's going to continue if we don't do this work. This is also an important reminder to pay attention to our elections because sheriffs and different people who chose not to pursue this on particular ways in many areas, these are people who are elected. We got to get out there and do the work. We need all of you all to get out there. Keep Arbery in mind when you're running because he can't run no more right now. Keep him in mind when you're out there getting out there exercising. Keep in mind when you keep him out there doing his best and forgetting the rest. Think about his parents and think about his mom on Mother's Day, his father on Father's Day, and all of the people out there, the Sandra Blands of the world, the Tamir Rices, the Trayvon Martins, the people who won't be able to get back, But we can start doing things differently as it relates to policy, but it starts from seeing common humanity. The question is, when are many of you going to see that common humanity in us? We don't have a lot of time to wait for that. We need you now to get out there with us in solidarity because we are human beings and we deserve that respect that we have given to so many of you all across diverse communities across the world. That support has always been shown, sometimes at the expense of our own community. And now we're asking for just a little of that back. I think that's the least that many folks out there can do. We're not waiting for you. Whenever you're ready, come out and hit the streets, hit the airwaves, hit whatever with us because we are hitting it hard to get justice for Mr. Ahmaud Arbery and so many other people. So I say to him, rest in peace, rest in power. You will not be forgotten. We got you. To your family, we got you. And the rest of us, whenever we're out there, the rest of you out there, whenever you're ready to join us in this common fight for humanity and dignity and decency, you got a place with us. Peace.